Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the presentation today. We're going to be going over the perfect career for your students with disabilities and Conover Online, how it can help write quality transition plans inside the IEP. So I'm super excited that you're here today. I had a co-host, but her and her kids are sick. Tis the season. So anyway, I'm going to be flying solo. So with that, I shut off the chat just because I can't do both at once, present and chat. But you will get a recording of this. I obviously will be following up via email. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, we can absolutely coordinate that way. And at the end, we'll do some Q&A too, hopefully, if I can get that to work. But it'll be about a half hour. So let's get some housekeeping things out of the way. I am your host, Art Janowick. I'll be here presenting for the next 30 minutes, 29 minutes to be exact. I'll be going over the journey that a student takes through Conover Online and how that helps equip staff, educators to write those quality transition plans in an IEP. You will get a recording of this, so you can watch it again if you want. You can watch it for the first time if this is the replay right now. And then you can also pass that along to other colleagues that should you want to do that. So without further ado, let's not waste any further time. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to share my screen with you all so you can see what exactly I am doing. Perfect. So we're going to go into it. So this roadmap or this journey that you see is what a student takes within Conover Online. And on this journey, students are going to take individually their own time. However, the points on this journey, however long that it takes that they need to go through is self-paced, is a true conversation to go through independent living skills like personal hygiene, grooming, things like putting on deodorant, social cues, community signs and words, how to clean your home, how to have social interactions, make eye contact, introduce yourself, etc. And then they go through career exploration. They go through career exploration and assessment, things like interests, hands-on career exploration, assessing academics within a career, which is my favorite part, and I'll touch on that. It's awesome. And then we set a career plan. How are they going to get there? What are some post-secondary goals? Do I have to go to community college? Do I have to go 4-year? Do I go the certificate track? And then we go and dip into the social emotional learning. And I kind of joke, but serious. We used this term before it was mainstream, before it was cool. But just focusing and breaking it down on setting and achieving goals. So you set a career plan, but now what? How do you get there? How do you set and achieve those academic and career goals? How do you learn, identify, explain, and understand, express emotions, the emotions of yourself and the emotions of others? And then soft skills for the workplace and for life, but we focus there in the workplace. And then they arrive at their destination, wherever that destination is. And so we can individualize through this journey. We can individualize the process for every single student that goes through it. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in. Like I said, I don't want to waste time. I'm going to jump right into the system. Now, you can go onto our website. You can download research. You can download all the efficacy. You can download the case studies. All that stuff is accessible on our website. But what I want to do is jump into the actual program itself and demo what both the educator sees and what the students see. So I want to log in as a teacher, as an educator. And when I do that, I'm going to see a class roster. And so all of my students are listed within here, within this ecosystem. Doesn't matter if you have one, doesn't matter if you have a million. All of the students are listed. We can group them by site, by physical campus or location, program, right? So if you run like an 18 to 21 pro, 18 to 22, different physical locations, all of those are grouped out. And when you have your group in here, you then make the assignments to each individual student. And you're going to see the things that correlate with that roadmap. Okay. So every single color here, green, black, blue, is obviously separated out by category. So independent living skills, career exploration, social emotional. The programs that we have also correlate obviously with that journey, right? That roadmap. And so Very first thing, potentially, depending on the student, depending on their needs, depending on their ability, that they're going to go through is that independent living skills. And inside of the independent living skills, we have what's called the functional skills system. Okay. And the functional skills system is designed to both assess and teach independent living skills. So, one thing, I was at the CASE conference last week, and I was discussing and networking and talking with folks, trying to learn, because it's good to talk with folks that are actually in the trenches, right, in working with students and in the classrooms. And one thing that I overwhelmingly heard was there is a lot of transition and life skills and curriculum out there. And I can attest to that, right? Being obviously in the market and seeing what's out there. But the one thing that I always talk about is the assessments and curriculum should be out there. It should be interwoven, and the assessments should drive the instruction. So that way it's not just like, oh, hey, this is the curriculum we're going to go over. Because again, the point of an IEP is the individualized part. And that's where this really comes into play is an educator can individualize what a student needs to go through. So I'm going to run through some of these again. This is a demo. These are some examples of what our programs cover. But I want to show you that the teacher here, the educator, has the ability to assign anything to a student. And so if a student needs, for example, more of the level 1 stuff, more of the signs and words, things like entertainment in the community, grocery signs and words, public transportation, core vocabulary, other literacy skills, signs and survival signs and words, then that's what you would assign to that student. And so what the signs and words series looks like is it's going to be just like it sounds. It's going to be signs and words. It's going to be a video, or excuse me, a picture, a still image of that sign or word in action, like automatic door. And then we're going to have a video of that sign or word in action. So we can see video modeling of what exactly that sign or word does or looks like out in the community. As you saw, there's closed captioning. You can't hear it through this portion, but there's full audio. So everything's read aloud for non and low readers. And so they just pop some headphones in and they can go through the signs and the words. Okay. The assessment piece, what's so unique is we're going to have audio and visual discrimination. So there's the curriculum laid out for you. And so the idea there is obviously we have the curriculum to teach the sign or word, or to teach the literacy skill or the safety skill, or the grocery sign or word. But then we're also going to have the instructional review, the assessment piece, the generalization piece with audio and visual discrimination. And so it's going to look and sound like this. When you hear the correct sign, click the mouse. And so we're going to have some distractors like restrooms, elevator. And so students are going to have to discern what exactly, what's correct. So if they click incorrect, it's going to go back and review. If they click correct, it's going to say, yes, that's the right answer. Let's move on. And we're going to have visual discrimination, where we're going to say, find automatic door, and click with the mouse. And so we're going to have the 3 distractors over here, and then the correct answer here. Again, we want the assessments tied directly in with the curriculum. So we're measuring skill acquisition. We're measuring knowledge. We're measuring time on task. And all of this information is being saved and documented within the ecosystem. So again, when you write IEPs, when you have to document that information, it's all going to be saved. And at the very end, the last 5 or so minutes, I'll show you what a finished report looks like, so you can see, again, what exactly that transition plan looks like created by our system. Because the way we see it is if students are going through these modules and they're going to be working on this stuff anyway, why don't we track it? So it doesn't have to be limited to the classroom. It can be assigned as homework. It doesn't have to be a teacher re-inputting information like, okay, when did Johnny work on that? Oh, November 17th at 11:10 a.m. No, all of that information is going to be there real time. So we can track all that information. We don't have to worry about when he did it, when he logged in. Did he get it right? Did he get it wrong? All of that information is going to be saved. And again, I'll show that finished transition plan at the end here, so you can see the culmination of, as students working through these modules, it's going to be saved. Okay, and again, full audio. So I'm just talking here to you all, but all of the audio is built in here, so students can go through this. Closed captioning can be toggled on or off, and then we're going to ask them those questions. Was Sam aware of how Paul was feeling? Yes or no? Okay, and then again, tracking their responses. So thousands, literally thousands of these types of videos. There are over 5,500. I don't even know the exact number because we just added some math skills. So we're constantly adding and creating and reinvigorating the content. But these are all of the competencies that we cover. Each one of these competencies is going to have an assortment of videos, which comes out to obviously the over 5,500, 5,500, breaking down these concepts. All right. So that's the first part of the journey there, the independent living skills. If they need to stay on this point longer, because again, students with varying needs, they may need to really have that repetition built in and stay on this point before they jump further. And they may even stay on this point as they walk further. That's what that's there for, is independent living skills, to break down all of those types of concepts and competencies. All right. Next up on the journey, if you will, is what we call career exploration and assessment. This program is designed around this concept of interest. Well, you saw the 4 points: interests, and then interests are going to drive hands-on career exploration, which will then push them into assessing the academics within that career. Do they have the ability to do that career? And then, okay, let's set a plan. Can they do it? Will they do it? Are they going to do it? Etc. So, very first thing that the users do is going to be that interest indicator. Basic likes and dislikes of everyday activities, questions. So they can answer. It doesn't matter if they have no to limited experiences. Now, a lot of people have said, Art, we have interest tests already. We have, I get a free one off of the internet, or my teacher created one, etc. That's fine. I mean, that'll work. But the idea, though, here is that, number one, we're tracking everything behind the scenes. Number two, it's going to be limited to no experience, right? We've done the kind of legwork with the research behind it to associate the careers tied into those 16 career clusters. And then after we tie in those clusters, we say, okay, you were interested in those. Well, now let's have some careers associated with those clusters. These are some potential career areas for you to get some hands-on experience. So the next step would be the work sample, the hands-on manipulatives, to have users try out careers in a non-threatening atmosphere. So literally, you get these kits physically. Like I tell people this sometimes, they're like, wait, what? Like, you get these work sample boxes, these task boxes. And again, you don't need these. Some people say, hey, Art, I have some of those already, or I don't want to purchase them, or I don't have the budget for them. That's okay. You don't need these for the program to be successful. However, obviously it's recommended, because the idea is there's a entry, a mid, and advanced level job activity within each career area. It takes about 30 minutes each one. And the idea here is some exploratory stuff. Get their hands dirty in a non-threatening atmosphere. This is before we do any community-based placement. So we want to make sure that they get their hands dirty, they like it, they want to pursue it further. Great. Now let's talk about community stuff. Let's talk about on-the-job training. Let's talk about some work-based learning, etc. Well, once we get this half hour out of the way and they kind of get their hands dirty and they like it and they want to explore further, great. That's kind of like the prerequisite before we go further, because all that other stuff takes a lot more time and money to set up, to transport, to all that stuff. So we do this first to try those jobs out. Okay, and so that's where the videos come in our software. It's kind of like YouTube, breaking down these things, right? Like, hey, grab the rag and the brake fluid and the hone and the safety goggles and the vise, and then we're going to go ahead and go through disassembling and reassembling the brake cylinder. So there's going to be video, again, modeling, showing exactly how to do the work samples. Okay, so again, different work samples, all this information I'll be following up with so you can check it out. But it's really cool because they range. They range from building maintenance, small engines, food service, custodial, to telecommunications, 3D printing. So there's the range too of career areas for students to work through. All right. So next up on the journey, assess academics within a career area. This is really cool because the idea here is we want to have job-specific assessments, but related, again, to the job, to the career, but also to academics. Because again, academics are critical, right? You got to know what you're going to do academically, not just the job at hand. So the idea behind these learning assessment programs, that's what we call them, learning assessment programs, is we are assessing job-specific competencies. So we're still measuring things like vocab, other language arts, math, science, but it's going to be specific to that job. So here is restaurant vocabulary, so language arts. But again, now we're talking about knives, forks, and spoons. So as an educator, I always talk to educators about this piece being so powerful, because as students answer these questions, again, we're tracking their correct and incorrect responses. Okay. And what we want to be able to do is see what they're good and not so good at, because I can use this data to make goals and courses of study leading up to those goals. Maria wants to work in food service. She scored 18% in sequencing, but she scored 80% in restaurant vocab. So sequencing is a competency covered in Mr. Johnson's math class. So I'm going to put her, or recommend to put her, in Mr. Johnson's math class, because it will help her reach her post-secondary goal of being in food service. You see that connection there? So these are so powerful because the idea is we've done kind of the legwork behind the scenes to connect the academics to the career. And now all the educator has to do is look at the data and say, yep, she scored good here, good here, good here, not so good here. Okay, I'm gonna teach her those skills, or we're gonna focus on those skill sets. Okay. And then last but not least is setting the career plan. Setting the career plan. So we're gonna go through, again, the hands-on piece, if applicable. We're going to go through the assessment to measure cognitively. Can you do, are you measure where you are in the competencies? And then we're going to go through the career planner. We're going to go through the occupational information of a career. And then we're going to set forth a plan. We're going to say, do you like this career area? Would you want to do this kind of career for a living? Do you have the skills for this career area? All that information is going to be broken down, and with videos, pictures, as you see here, and then at the end, a questionnaire to ask those sorts of questions. So again, the assessments are driving that career plan. They're driving that conversation to each individual student that's going through the program. Okay. All right, and then we're going to go into the next part of the journey. The next part of the path is going to be the social and emotional learning, right? We're going to set and achieve goals. We're going to express, understand, identify emotions, soft skills for the workplace. So there's really two tracks of these. It's unique in that we have the competencies that we cover are going to be the same. So we're still going to cover things like empathy, stress management, awareness of others, awareness of self, workplace type soft skills. The difference, though, is the way in which we deliver the content is going to be more for like a learning support student, a resource student, and then we also have some stuff more for the moderate and potentially, depending, severe students, because again, the pace in which and the way in which we deliver the content. So same competencies, just different delivery mode. Excuse me. So, so we're going to break down these types of skill sets like attitude, communication, planning, and organizing. So, for the sake of time, I'm just going to cover kind of the higher level one. But we're going to go through things like teamwork, or attitude, where we're going to have a description of what exactly that skill is. And then we're going to break down various scenarios to show that in action. Like, what does it look like to respect others? Right? And then some questions to ask. So the idea again is that the assessments are built in with the curriculum. It's all integrated, tied together. And with the content, there's two main things that I want to share that we've heard educators say. We have our company has been around for over 40 years. In fact, almost 45 years. And there's two things that constantly come up when our educators, when we talk about feedback or do trainings and discuss. And there's two things. One is the data that's saved in here, and the fact that it's turnkey is saves so much time. So it's not like an LMS in the sense that an educator needs to reinvent the wheel or take his or her curriculum or lesson plans and like upload them or modify them to make them fit or write quizzes or things like that or create anything, because that takes a whole bunch of time. So we've done all that work already. So it's a turnkey system that's ready to be plug and play. So that's number one, because then everything's saved and tracked still for the IP, which again I'll show you in the next minute or so. The other thing that they say is the content itself is age appropriate for the population we're talking about, high school and post high school students. It is not juvenile. It's not kids. It's not cartoonish, if you will. They're young adults and adults in these expectations. And I didn't mean to click on workplace rules and expectations, but it's perfect. But the expectations that we want for our students as we're preparing them for the real world, why not use content and things that are going to be higher level in the sense that we expect these things out of them as well? And so, uh, again, the models and the videos are going to be age appropriate for the students that we're working with here in the high school, potentially middle school, depending. It's like eighth grade, right? Some programs may be applicable there, but it's going to be appropriate for those students. Okay. And all the meanwhile, everything is being saved and documented underneath, again, our report section. So if you need to pull up a report, you have an IEP meeting coming up. It's the end of the semester. We're getting ready for Christmas break. Mom and dad want to know what's going on. Caregiver wants to know what's going on. Well, let's put up Adam Zacker's interest indicator from October 13th, 2017. These are all fake students, but it's all real data. Imagine how quickly, if you can think about, implementing this, how quickly you can have this data for every single one of your students that you work with. Literally forever. For as long as you use the system, this data will be in here. So a lot of special education, right, programming, you need to keep data for 7 years, for God forbid any litigation or anything like that, or just to have records for that of what you did. And so all of that data is here, even after students graduate or age out of services. The data is just automatically captured. And so you can have this data. We've had systems, school systems and organizations use us for many years. And again, students and users age out or they graduate or whatever. That data is just there. So you have all of that data real time. And we even have what we call a career portfolio. And what the career portfolio is the comprehensive report of everything that's going on inside of the system. So if I go into a sample here, career portfolio, oops, this is what a finished career portfolio looks like. Educators have used this as the transition plan, as either an attachment inside the IEP. You just download the PDF. If you want to, if you're old school, print it out, put it in the manila folder in the metal file cabinet with the lock. Great, you could do that too. because all of this is saved real time, and it's building. It's a comprehensive portfolio. So as students work through the system and they're going through the work samples and they're going through the independent living skills and they're going through the interest tests and they're going through some soft skills, and they're all of that data is captured real time. So teachers, educators, staff, directors of special education, transition coordinators, it's not a 50-pound bowling ball you're trying to roll down the lane. It's literally turnkey, ready to go with all of the data captured as students are working through this. And what's nice about these reports are it's captured, it's comprehensive in that, it's as much or as little as a student works on. So here's my fake student, Maria. She's been working on this her whole high school career. She's a junior, senior. So this one's 26 pages long. It's huge. It's big. But if a student is like 15 and they do just the interest indicator, well, then that student's transition plan is only going to be a page. It's going to be like the interest test with the results. So for as little or as much as you do, it's going to be documented in the system. And then you can have the reports, again, just ready right at your fingertips. You just go inside the system and select the reports needed. Okay. One final thought, and I promise to keep it to a half hour, like I said, because we want to get you in and out and move on with your day. You guys are all busy. One final thought is, we pride ourselves not only on all the stuff that I've mentioned already, the curriculum, the assessments, the tracking, the technology, the ability it works on any device, all that, but also on our support, our implementation. We understand the product is only as good as its implementation. Because how many times have you, either personally or professionally in an organization, purchase something with great intentions, right? Like a gym membership is a great example, right? I'm going to work out. I'm going to get healthy. There's a reason that January has a huge push of no startup costs, but it's only $10 a month. And then people get after it in January, maybe February, March, it fizzles, but yet their membership continues on because there's always good intentions at the start, but there's no plan. There's no implementation. There's no accountability. Whereas we here at Conover provide all of those things as part of you being a customer. We want to make sure that you know exactly how to use our system, how it's appropriate for you specifically. Make sure all the staff knows exactly what is going on and how it works. And then we do an annual account review. If you want, some people are like, Art, I don't need that. That's great. That's okay. I mean, again, we don't force this. We provide enough push to make it available to you. And if for whatever reason there's certain things that need to be omitted for whatever, however the conversation goes, we do that. But this implementation roadmap is what every customer gets, which is why our retention rate of customers is 98%. People, once they get in and they use this with their students, they love it. And they don't leave unless they retire. But that's the plan here, is to make sure that you all get this access and this customization. So, okay, that's it. I got 1 minute. I will let you all go. I'm going to try to hit up some chat. I don't know if we'll have time for that. So what I'm going to do is, like I mentioned, I was rocking solo today because for those of you that joined late, I apologize, and we're wrapping this up. Her kids and her were sick, so she could not help me out here with the chat and the attendees. So I was riding solo this morning here. It's 10:30 Central. But I will follow up with you all. There's one thing I do want to put, if this works, in the chat, and it is, let's see if I can get it in there. It's a link. I posted it. I don't know if it's available to you all. There's a link to my calendar directly. That is a way for you to sit down with me for a half hour on your schedule. Next week I'm gone. Thanksgiving. I'm sure most of you are too, spending some family time, hopefully. But this is a way to get on my schedule, my calendar, for a half hour to talk price, to talk about need. Sometimes there's only a certain part of this roadmap that people say, Art, I only need this career part, or I only need the independent living skills part, or I only need, great. So that link I just gave you is to set up a time personally on my calendar. So click that now because the availability leaves as soon as someone schedules. So it just shows my current availability real time. So click that, schedule a time, and then I will follow up with all of you via email to just know your thoughts. Was I off base? Was I on base? Was I was I safe? Was I out? To just give me feedback, because the only way to make these demos better, we know resources need to be available to educators, and we want to be part of that conversation, but we also want to be cognizant of time and value and all that stuff of what's happening. So I'll send a follow-up email to you as soon as we end here, to all of you, whether you're watching a replay or you're live, and then yeah, we'll go from there. But I hope to work with you. I hope I provided some value here for the half hour of what the student journey looks like through our system to hit on these things. And yeah, I'm here for questions, comments, concerns, and have a beautiful day, beautiful holiday season coming up here, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and yeah, bye-bye now.